Welcome to the Arizona Wildcats Show. I'm Ryan Finley here with Michael Lev. Michael, last episode we talked about the Arizona Wildcats offense heading into Saturday's Cactus something or other.
Kickoff game.
Game against BYU in Glendale. Now let's talk about the defense. This is a unit that is going to look very different from last year in ways that we may not even know yet. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, if you look at just the depth chart, it's not that much different than it was before. It kind of looks like a 3-3-5. However, one of those three linebackers is a hybrid position. They call it the stud. Basically talking about a stand-up defensive end. That's going to be DeAndre Miller, who showed a lot of promise at the end of last season. It's a guy that they really like in terms of his body type, his speed, all the athletic attributes. There's going to be more movement before the snap among the defensive linemen, among the linebackers. They're going to try to confuse the opposing offense more than they have in the past. There was a thought that maybe the defense under Jeff Castile became a little bit predictable before.
There was a thought? There was a thought of that?
Maybe it was more than a thought. Maybe that's definitely the case. You saw more Arizona games than I did last season. But there's going to be more of an aggressive mindset, which we always, every time a new defensive coordinator comes in at any program, anywhere, that's always what they say. Right. But I've talked to several players, several coaches. They all say it's the same thing. We're going to have a new attitude. We're going to have a new swagger about us. And, maybe that can help in tangible ways. Sure. That first season sort of burst of enthusiasm and excitement and energy. Obviously the unit did not play with a lot of confidence last year. If they're able to get off to a good start this year, I think that maybe that can set the tone for the rest of the season.
To me, what makes Saturday so interesting, Michael, it's a U of A defense that we haven't seen before against a BYU offense that is coached by a man who ran a high school team a year ago.
Ty Detmer,
who just happens to also be one of the 10 greatest college quarterbacks of all time, Ty Detmer. We have an Arizona offense, and we don't know who the quarterback's going to be, against a BYU defense that is essentially being run by their new head coach who's younger than both of us.
Right. So a lot of mystery, right?
So much mystery. Compelling, weird mystery. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Rich Rodriguez said that one of the keys in this game in particular is going to be in-game adjustments. He actually explained this week kind of how that works. They have something called an answer sheet, which I had never heard of before, despite all of my years of covering football. I thought it was kind of interesting. It's kind of like these are the countermeasures that we have in place for whatever the opposition is doing. And he said, how big that is depends on how much they know about the opponent. Obviously, going into this game, they know very little, so it's a very large answer sheet. And they try to rep all of those things with the players during practice and make sure that they kind of know everything. But, it's difficult going into a game when you have a large volume of stuff. The less stuff you have, I think the better off you are. So it's sort of a fine line between, making sure that you've got all the bases covered and not kind of overwhelming the players with too much information.
That'll do it for this episode of the Wildcat Show. For Michael Lev, welcome him aboard, everybody. I know it's been 9 months. Welcome him aboard. I'm Ryan Finley. We'll see you next time.